welcome back to the Ida Hour. I do apologize for having missed a few weeks of episodes. Took a little baby sabbatical. It's been, I don't know. I've missed a few episodes. I mean, it's like a few months, or I was doing my hair and, I just kind of got carried away. But I'm back. I am back. And I appreciate you being here. I really do. If you're here after my little break, then you really are a real one. And, I wanted to start today's episode off with a tweet from a wonderful artist, Ja Rule, because I feel that it just really epitomizes the situation that I find myself in, that maybe you feel you're in, that the country's in. And it says this, I too was hustled, scammed, bamboozled, hoodwinked, led astray. Does this resonate with you? Because it resonates with me. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember this tweet. It was from the Fire Festival days, but I feel this way in particular right now and over the past year. Because of a man in my life. And it's a man that some of you may know. It's a man I supported. It's a man I followed around the country. It's a man that I stood by. I stood by his side. And I really stuck my neck out for this guy. And he pretended to be my friend. He pretended to be like good for me. And like, he fucked me. That's really, Donald Trump fucked me. He fucked all of us. He really fucked us all. And, we couldn't have really seen it coming. Not to the magnitude that it ended up being. Like, we really couldn't have seen it coming. And that's what's unfortunate. There were no signs that I could tell, at least for the most part. I worried a little, but I thought he was funny, and I thought he wasn't going to do us dirty. I really thought he was going to do the right thing, but I thought, hey, let's take a chance. Let me take a chance. Let me stick my neck out. Let me vote for the fat comedian. When have I ever been fucked over by a fat comedian? How badly could this go? But Donald Trump fucked me. When will I ever learn? When will I ever learn to stray from comedians? I don't know. I keep just taking chances on comedians. Whether or not he knows it, Donald Trump's charm is in that he's funny. I don't think anyone would give a shit if he wasn't this hilarious, larger than life guy. He doesn't even know he's funny, which is the unfortunate thing. But, it didn't work out. And many times it just doesn't work out. And it's sad, it's sad because we really had our hopes high for him. You thought, hey, we can all kind of unite behind some patriotism for once, fuck the libs and fuck me too and fuck all this bullshit. No wars, no new wars. Epstein files. Hey, JD Vance. Hey. When will I ever learn? When will I ever learn? Do not go for the funny guy. Stop looking to the funny guy. We all got to learn that lesson. You can't look to the funny guy to be some moral beacon of hope, Not that I thought he was, but I thought he'd at least do the right thing politically. Nay. Big fat no. I thought, hey, can't be worse than Kamala, can't be worse than sleepy Joe Biden. No, I was wrong. He's also not even that funny anymore. This big fat comedian, he's kind of lost his touch. He's just kind of a swamp creature or a mouthpiece for them. So it is what it is. It is what it is. I thought, oh, he tells it like it is. He really says the thing. He always just says the thing. And you just kind of forget, like, this is the guy that was mentored by Roy Cohn, another low-key fat gay diva who, rants and raves and, claims that he wants to do the right thing. But in the end, he's just another scumbag. That's the thing. It's like he's just another scumbag. Like, if Roy Cohn was alive today, he'd be screaming at an Uber driver. He'd be like Lori Lightfoot in that sense. He'd be leaving like 2 stars for the Uber Eats driver that, drove 45 minutes to deliver him like a shitty smoothie. That's who Roy Cohn would be. And this is the man who mentored the fatty who runs our country. I voted for this man. I encouraged others to vote. And I was somebody who didn't vote. I was like, no, ew, I don't vote. That's gross. I wasn't even going to vote for Trump the second time, but I was like, no, it's different. It's dark MAGA. It's not like red MAGA. It's dark MAGA. Look, we have JD Vance. It was all fake. We all fell for it. And now I'm embarrassed. He's like, oh, Trump, it's going to be like a great resurgence of American energy and American pride. And then as soon as he gets in office, just bombs Iran. We really thought it was going to be like a new energy, a new vibe. He gets in office, he bombs Iran. What gives? This man who we thought is just very disappointing. When will I ever learn? I don't know. I don't know when I'll learn. I don't know when we'll learn. I know I'm done. I'm not voting anymore. I'm not going to urge anyone to vote. He embarrassed me. I thought, no, he's not in the Epstein files. He's a little eccentric, he's probably done some people dirty in his real estate business. But yeah, he's a good guy. He's going to do the right thing. If for no other reason, then the narcissism would be a reason for him to want to preserve his legacy, right? We know he's the no new wars guy. He's got to stick with that, right? He's got to stick with that. Otherwise, he's not going to be this hero. Nay, it's just not the case, But the good news is that, if a hurricane hits your town or you get rocked by a fucking Category 5 earthquake, you can get some FEMA funding if you Heil Bibi. If you say that you like Palestinian kids being shot in the head and you can get your government to say that on your behalf, and if you refuse to stop buying Sabra hummus, then you might get some disaster relief. And that's the good news. You have to look at the bright side. You know what I mean? You really we have to look at the bright side. I don't want to be so negative on my, first episode back. I do really want to be positive and, I want to turn a new leaf. And what are you going to do? We don't really live in a country anymore, it feels. Or we do, but it doesn't seem like Donald Trump does. It's what do they have on you? What do they have on you? Is this all because they gave you $100 million? Or is there something else you're hiding? He doesn't read pedo to me. So I don't know what they really have on him. Maybe he is. I don't know. At this point, I don't know. He's acting guilty. He's being guilty. He's being weird. I'm sure you can tell I'm not in the normal studio. Is it clocking to you that I'm not in the same place as I usually am? Cool. What do you want me to address that? You want me to talk about my personal life? I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I don't know how to even be positive. I mean, it's just a horror show. You turn on the news, you get on X, you get on any platform. It's what? The Nelk boys are interviewing a war criminal? But it's cool. The next day they have Lily Phillips. This is the schedule if you're the Nelk boys. It's okay, Monday, Lily Phillips, Tuesday, Netanyahu, Wednesday, Bassem Youssef, because people didn't like the other interview. You know, Thursday, Bonnie Blue. Friday, Logan Paul or something. And then Saturday, you know, you got to go to Drake's house. It's Drake's B-Day. You know, you got to go to Drake's B-Day bash. He's giving you a Rolex. You got to show up for that. Steiny. I never thought I'd have to like live in a time where I have to know who Steiny is. They're so stupid. I mean, they're so stupid for that. At least they're making $1 billion from their seltzer company though, right? Like you have to understand like everything's actually good. When you think it's bad, it's not so bad. You can start a fucking bullshit company, you know, and turn a profit. I don't know. It's just like, what do they think in Israel? Like, do they think this is all like chill? Like what, like, do they think that we're just going to keep being their bank forever? I mean, I guess they should. That's really the reality. That's what's happening. And why shouldn't they have the right to do their party, you know, next to an open air prison with 2.1 million people that are being starved to death? Like, why shouldn't they have that right? It's a nature party, right? It's a music festival. You know, if you can't drop acid on the border of Gaza right next to the Green Line, then like, what rights do you even have? It's a democratic society, you know? If you can't have some like wackadoo settlers stealing land in the West Bank, I don't know that it's much of a free society like they claim. You know? So it's like things suck, but at least it's a really good time in journalism because what is it? Barry Weiss's show is valued at $250 million. That's good news. Hey, it's not bad for everybody. If you pledge allegiance to the right people, by the way, the Pledge of Allegiance has been replaced with Am Israel Chai. It's a little shorter, less wordy, easier for the kids to remember in school. So that's good. It's good that she's getting paid $250 million to, I don't even know, to do what? We don't know. But she's getting paid that amount of money for a podcast that, you know, can't even break 50,000 views when she has Rahm Emanuel on. You know, Rahm Emanuel, the guy everyone loves, former mayor of Chicago, Ari Emanuel's brother. Everyone loves that guy. She can't even get 50K views. She'll have Mike Huckabee on like 45 max. And if she's doing 45,000 views and she's worth $250 million, then I think it's like looking up for me. I was like, oh, I should start podcasting again. I mean, maybe I can break 10K and make like, I don't know, 1 million. Hey, I don't know. It's just, I don't really want to join like the IDF though. Like sounds really unfun, but I feel like they might draft me and Trump's just going to tell us we have to go. It's really sad. It's really sad. I don't know. I mean, what else is even going on? I think unfortunately I miss my calling of being a honeypot. That would have been the right move for me. I know some of you are like, do OnlyFans, show us your ass. And that's good. But what if I were a honeypot? Couldn't be the worst thing. I mean, it depends what the pay is, obviously, you know, but it can't be that. It can't be worse than what I'm doing now. You know, if you have any leads, let me know. Times like these in the zeitgeist, it just kind of really makes you pine for the days of like, you know, January 6th. Remember when that was a big deal? It's like now we have October 7th and fucking, I don't know, every day since then. Really makes January 6th just like It just makes January 6th seem fun. Yeah, it's a weird time. It's like Trump versus South Park, Israel versus Miss Rachel. It's like, hey, what the hell? Sure, that's fine. Why? Hey, why not? What's the death count now? I mean, these people have gone through this for so long. For so long. The people in my DMs getting upset with me because I'm like bringing up the fact that the IDF is blocking the food. I don't even know what to say. I don't know that I've ever been more like sad and demoralized and dejected by the greater society and like people that I know and formerly respected are really buying into the propaganda, and it's very sad. It's very sad. It's very sad that Trump turned out to be a swamp creature who bombed Iran because Bibi told him to. I don't know where we go from here. I don't really know where we go from here. I was watching this documentary called Fiasco about Iran-Contra, and you know, because I always like heard about Iran-Contra. I'm Iranian, yeah. I'm like, what even is that? I kind of am like, what is it, like arms sales? Every time I had read the story, it was just like one of those historical things that just never stuck. I always read about it. I'm like, oh yeah. It never stuck. So I watched this documentary called Fiasco. It's pretty good. Like, it's fine. It's not great. It's obviously biased and they're not going to tell you everything, but it's decent enough. And the way that just doesn't even remotely compare to a regular hour in any news cycle today. It's like, what were they mad about? That like Oliver North sold some weapons to Iran, and then the money from those weapons went to go fund the Contras in Nicaragua, and this mattered. Why? I don't know. Because there was like a huge scandal. Like, oh, it's the biggest scandal of Ronald Reagan's career. And instead, the scandal of Ronald Reagan's career should have been that, like, every time there was a camera on him, he had the Biden stare. He was, like, not with it. Like, every time I was listening to him he was a better speaker, I'll give him that, than Biden, but you couldn't make out where his eyes were at any point. And, like, he basically couldn't read files that they would give him, so they would have to, like, show him a movie. Because he was gone, you know, he was completely elsewhere. But yeah, Iran-Contra, what a scandal. You know, Watergate, ooh. Like, who cares? None of these things matter. Compared to what happens just like on a daily basis now. And yes, I'm sure the internet makes it feel more insane, but it also is more insane. Like, it is more insane. Every hour that passes, there's just like an insane story. It's like, oh, there's a shooter in Manhattan. They're starving the kids. They say shell's not food. It's like, with our money. And then you turn around, you find out that there's been like 500 million kids that died in Sudan from starvation too, like since 2023, and ain't nobody heard about it. Like, I know that that's not with our money or whatever, but we haven't even heard about it. I asked, you know, I tried to figure out who's in more of a dangerous spot at the moment, and it is the kids of Gaza. I mean, the weird thing is that, like, I'm not saying don't donate, but it's like, even if you donate, it's like they have the food, they're just not letting them in, and then they're shooting down the kids when they try to get the food. They also put the food where the military is. None of it makes any damn sense. You bring up any of these inconsistencies in what they say and what they do, and you're an anti-Semite. So, you know, you want to make a movie? Good luck to you. You know, you want to like put something out on the internet and not be beaten down by the algorithm? Good luck to you. I don't know that this is even going to get any views. Maybe it's just because I don't have very many people in the first place, but you feel weird. Like you feel weird talking about anything now, which is kind of why it's nice to just go hide in your hole and not do nothing and just kind of like forage for mushrooms. I quit the reefer. I'll give you guys that update. I quit the reefer. I stopped smoking the J. And I'm going to be real with you. You know, life is a lot less fun. At the moment, it's fine. I did it. I'm good. I don't know. It's like I'm not dying or nothing, but it's a lot of joy that I previously got just is kind of gone. And they're like, don't you feel like you're more in the moment? I'm like, no, not really. I feel good that I'm doing the right thing, I guess. My dreams are so vivid, they're like movies that I don't want to see. So that's annoying. But apparently I'm getting real REM sleep now. It's like, according to who? I don't know. There's just so much I could complain about. I mean, we're living in a world where like Candace Owens makes more sense than just about anybody else. I mean, let's just like go through the like what are people saying right now? Does anyone find it odd that Caroline Leavitt is actually only 27 years old? Doesn't that blow your mind a little bit? Oh, great. The tariffs. Ooh. You know, on the right side, at least the Adelson family bought my hometown of Dallas. They traded Luca. They are the new owners, by the way, of the Mavs. Mark Cuban sold us out to the Adelson family so that he could run for president one day, even though he's lost all credibility for running for Kamala, even though I guess she's now somehow better or would have been better than Trump, but who knows? So she got her son-in-law to buy the Dallas Mavericks, and Mark Cuban sold the majority of his shares. And what do they do on day one? They trade Luka, and like they blame it on Nico Harrison, who I don't like. I don't like Nico, you know, because he's out there doing their dirty work. But you think that was his decision? They didn't want to pay his Supermax contract. And so they move him to LA. They screw him over. A man that actually wanted to be in Dallas. I can't even relate to that. I left Dallas for Los Angeles, you know, but he loved Dallas. He loved Dallas and Dallas loved him, and they took him out. And that poor man, he was traumatized. Luka was traumatized. And who did that? Mark fucking who, I don't even know his name. Patrick Dumont. I can't even, I think I've purposefully blocked his name out. Patrick Dumont and Miriam Adelson are now the owners of the Dallas Mavericks. And I believe the reason that they traded Luka is because they don't want to pay his contract. They might actually just move the Mavs to Las Vegas because Texas doesn't want to pass any laws bringing gambling into the city because they're trying to build some big casino as part of their like Sands corporation. So it's like if it wasn't enough that Israel's starving like, I don't know, 2.1 million people, although the number's probably much less than that because they've killed so much of the population. They want to ruin my hometown too, and they want to bomb Iran, the country my ethnicity. I mean, I was born and raised in America, but I lived in Iran for a time. And as a kid, before I officially moved back to the States, and I am Iranian. And it's like everywhere I turn, I'm just getting hit by Israel, a country that I'm not even going to say it. I would like this YouTube video to stay up, you know. The way it's so wrong. It's all so wrong. And I apologize for not being funnier about it. I don't know really what to say. You can't really be that funny about it. Like, it's difficult to. Cause you get on your phone and it's just the most horrible shit you've ever seen in your life. And that's if you're a good enough person that you have your algorithm like turned on Instagram. You have to like go on Instagram to your settings to let them know that you would like to see some of the more controversial or political things. You have to go put that on because they automatically turn it off. They don't want you to see it. They don't want you to see what your tax dollars are going towards. But if you don't say something about this, like if you just ignore it, you are in a way complicit. I do believe that. I really do believe that. I don't think you should have to have your life be about politics, but I do have this like very Zoroastrian belief of like, you know, there will be a day of judgment for you. I don't believe in any Abrahamic religion. Truly, I don't. But the ancient religion of the Persians was Zoroastrianism. And, you know, the Abrahamic religion stole all of the good parts of Zoroastrianism. And then they just added a bunch of bad shit in which they could just basically manipulate the entire public. The reason they did away with Zoroastrianism after the Arab invasion and they implemented Islam is because it just wasn't, it's a lifestyle. It's not really a religion. And it's not really a way for you to be able to manipulate the masses for your political and financial gains. And so, of course, the leaders of the day were like, yeah, this isn't going to work. We need to put Abraham in there. And then we need to add some weird shit to the Torah, to the Bible, to the Quran. And we're just going to like make everyone really OCD and compulsive and afraid and make them feel so much shame. And then we'll control them with that. And then they're going to go fight all of our wars while we stack the money, the cash. And it'll be fine. And, you know, so several 100 million people will die. Whatever. But I just do feel that if you don't talk about this on some level, you don't bring attention to it, you don't go out of your way to deprogram a retarded friend of yours or an idiot friend of yours who just thinks that, you know, we need to have the backs of all of our allies all the time, then how different are you than the people who said nothing about the Holocaust back in the day? Like, you have the internet, like you have followers, especially like I know so many people who have genuine influence, like actual influence. I don't have any influence, but these people have actual influence, you know? And they say nothing, they do nothing about it, and they just keep going about their day. And you just wonder how someone like that sleeps at night. I really, not to be like some, you know, high horse bitch, but you really do wonder. When I was doing this podcast actively, I think I did like 5.5 hours on Israel-Gaza, on Israel-Palestine. You know, if you go on YouTube, there's a documentary called The Settlers. I don't know if you guys have YouTube, but it's for free right now. It's actually free on there right now. And I really recommend you watch that. And there's, you know, every day it's some new bullshit. October 7th, 9/11, January 6th. It's like, hey, enjoy your birthday because pretty soon your birthday is going to be a day that's like memorialized for something. And it's going to be ruined. They're going to hijack your birthday. So just enjoy it now. They'll take that from you. enjoy the star of your sports team before some fucking swamp creature comes in and buys the team, and ruins, your kids' lives. Do you have any like kids in Luka jerseys in Dallas? They're just heartbroken. Now they have to get behind like Cooper Flag, and I don't even know. Maybe he's great. I've stopped watching. I'm done with basketball. Other than the roster of basketball players that I have in my phone, obviously. But that's my personal life. It's different than what I'm a fan of. So anyways, I am done with comedians. I'm done with the people who act like they have my back and then they just like, I support them. I do all this stuff for them. And, then they bomb Iran and they starve 2.1 million people to death on purpose, on purpose, as stated in many of their speeches. But the good thing is that Netanyahu, like, he is a little subversive and like, he's a little irony coded. He's like, I like Burger King more than McDonald's. And that's a take. Let's just play that. Let's play that for a second, because if you haven't seen that, it's just pretty incredible.
What's one thing you and President Trump have in common? Like something like specific, like a hobby or like something you both like, or like a food?
Hamburgers.
McDonald's?
Hamburgers.
Can I also just point out the way
President Trump comes to
like
they were suited up for the Netanyahu interview, but then when these Nelk boys interviewed Trump, they're in sweats and t-shirts and hoodies. But for Netanyahu, a foreign president, they are fully suited up. I made this point and I like ratioed their tweet about it, which is like about the only thing I've done since I left. But, and then they addressed it on their live stream. And they said that it was because of the location, because they're doing this interview at where? The White House. As if that's some sort of defense of their uniform. I'm like, oh, you did it at the Blair House and the White House, so this was facilitated to you by a member of Trump's team? Oh, that's even better. It really just keeps getting, we're so humiliated on a daily basis. Like, this is supposed to be the greatest country in the history of the world. It's like, have we done some bad shit? Of course. Is the only reason I live in this country because the country that my parents are from was ruined by the CIA here? Perhaps. Nonetheless, I am proud to be an American. It's where I grew up. It's where I was born, It's where I was raised. I'm a Texan, and they're taking that from me. They took Iran from my family and now, through Islam, and now they're taking America from me. I'm not religious. I'm not a fascist. And I feel like there's not really a place for me. And I would like to go to France, and I would like to go to Western Europe, but that's also being ruined because they've opened up their borders. Where do you go? Like, what can we do other than colonize Mars at this point? Obviously, I'm in a good position here. I'm not being starved, but
like a food?
hamburgers.
McDonald's?
Hamburgers.
So President Trump comes to Israel. It's a great visit, wonderful visit. Okay, and then we have dinner. Okay,
he's
and
looking in the camera as though Trump
chef,
is on the other side of it.
Very good chef, and he gives a 7-course dinner. Telling you, 7 course, and it's the longest dinner I've ever had. And in this fancy plate, and this fancy plate, and this fancy plate, and finally he brings up this dressed up hamburger. And I look at Trump and he looks at me. Finally, we had what we wanted. We got the hamburger, So, yeah, I was...
hey, they got the hamburger.
I was a junk food junkie for many years. Sarah and I would come. We didn't have... You remember, Israel was semi-socialist, so we didn't
Sarah,
even have
his wife.
McDonald's or Burger King, okay? And we'd land on an occasional visit to New York. You know what the first thing we did? McDonald's. And to be honest... Burger King. I like Burger King more.
What's your go-to at McDonald's?
No, I'll tell you, Burger King. We did the double, the
Whopper?
big, the double.
I haven't ripped Burger King in a long
It's
time.
not.
Burger
call it
King kind of
something
sucks.
Yeah.
No,
The
you're wrong.
BK Lounge can hit.
I disagree completely.
You like
I
Burger
mean,
King over McDonald's?
That's your
Absolutely.
worst take, I think.
Absolutely.
That's a crazy take.
No,
not
that
gonna
was
lie.
fine. I mean, I like Burger King. The answer is yes. And we'd go and have Burger King. And guess what happened? So I opened up the Israeli economy, right? And what do you think we had? McDonald's, Burger King's, burger that, burger this. And the bloom went off the rose. And how did I know? Because we'd go for we'd go for the lot, the shakes, the French fries.
This
What's
man's
one
from
thing-
Philadelphia. You know, he went to school in Philadelphia and now he's ruining the world. What? What? Now I know why they call it the Dead Sea. You know, everything's about death, everything's about war. You know, it's just a culture built on wars. You know, Alan Dershowitz went to like a grocery store on Martha's Vineyard and, you know, I guess he's being starved too because he tried to get a pierogi and they denied him that. They said, no, you are a bad, bad man and we're not going to give you a pierogi. Remember when Larry David ran into Alan Dershowitz at the grocery store, also at Martha's Vineyard? And, you know, the two were former pals. And Larry David was like, you're disgusting. You're so gross. I can't talk to you anymore. And, you know, there's a myriad of reasons to hate Alan Dershowitz. You know, he's a fucking creep. He probably did an incredible amount of shady shit that we don't even have the access. We don't even have the right to know it in the Epstein files. But what was upsetting to Larry David at the time was that he was a Trump supporter. That was what bothered Larry. You know, the guy that I love Curb as much as the next person. You know, every time something insane happens, the Curb music just constantly plays in my head, you know? But like the way these people, they just, you know, if they blindly support Israel. Yes, you know, Jerry Seinfeld is saying, I don't care about Palestinians. The fuck? What do you care about? Your comedy sucks. Like, Seinfeld, I guess, was okay. Curb was much funnier. But at the end of the day, you know, you realize it's like everyone's a snake and everyone's a liar. You know, Cheryl Hines is, you know, bless her heart, she's married to another fucking shill for that country. Maha's fake. It turned out to be fake. I was excited. I was like, oh my God. Make America healthy again. It's like, next. He's the same thing. He shills for Israel too. They're all the same. You realize just that everyone's the same. And then you start to think, it's like, why did I even like Curb Your Enthusiasm so much? A show that's about like a billionaire who doesn't want to tip a waiter. You know, bills $200. He's sitting there quibbling over having to pay a guy $5 to park his car. But we're supposed to be so charmed by that. You know, it's Seinfeld. It's like, so much bullshit has been committed in the name of Israel, which I'm sure he sends endless donations to. But, you know, the comedy that he's doing is so cutting edge. It's about how, like, how come when you go to the bank, the pens are chained to the table? You think I want to steal the pen? Is that the best you can do? What, you get a bill for that? You get $1 billion for that kind of comedy? You know? What's so different about you and Ira Glass on, like, This American Life? The history of the pencil. It's like, it's so pathetic. Like, these are our cultural heroes. They say not a word. I mean, the only people saying shit about Gaza at this point is like Billie Eilish, and, you know, and good for her. God bless her, truly. With somebody with her power doing that is fantastic. But very few people are saying anything. Miss Rachel is like Israel's biggest enemy right now. They're upset with Iran and Miss Rachel. This is the enemies list. So this is where we're at. You know, this is the position we find ourselves in. And, you know, it is on me. I'm going to be real with you. Like, some people are like, I have no regrets for voting for Trump. It's like, you're an idiot. I have every regret. I know that I'm not the one who made or, you know, broke. It doesn't make or break the election if one person votes, but it's like, I was genuinely behind this guy. I was excited, you know, I was excited for a golden age in America. I don't know. I got caught up. I got swept up. Never again will I fall for anyone's bullshit. You really cannot trust what people say. You genuinely just have to look at what they do. And what I did see was that Trump didn't start any new wars. You know, I thought it was like, oh, it's going to be the art of the deal. You know, he just wants to be a deal maker. No, he just wants to suck Bibi's dick. That's all he wants to do. You know, he wants to suck Bibi off. It's not MAGA, it's MAGA. You know, it's too late for me to be a honeypot, you know, for Kash Patel. Fucking that's out the window. I've said too much. And, you know, the free press ain't going to hire me for their podcast that gets no views. You know, Annapurna Pictures isn't going to have me. Larry Ellison's kids, like, production company that pumps out every movie ever since the Weinstein Company kind of fell through the cracks and died. It's like, so what place is there for me again? I hope YouTube lets me put this up. I just, you know, let the food in. Like, at least let the food in. And every day that passes, it's like, you think they're not going to kill you too, Mike Huckabee? You think they're not going to come for the Christians? They don't like you either. The way they treat the Palestinians, like, make no mistake, you're just a tool to meet their end. Get this guy's fucking face out of here. No shade to him, you know, he's an idiot, but actually shade to him for what he did. But also it doesn't matter, you know, because it did actually bring to light how hated this man is. I would just like to go through some of the comments of the Netanyahu Nelk interview, because I feel like the comments are 1.9 million. Like, what are... Yeah, I also miss when YouTube used to show dislikes. What happened to that? Brought to you by APAC, yeah. Should APAC register as a foreign lobby? Yes. Will they? No. Randy Fine, fattest man you've ever seen, wants to starve the kids in Gaza. $209,000 dislikes, 37,000 likes. That's 10 days ago. Thank you for the guy that looked that up. I feel like there's some way you can actually look it up, so that's good. That's good. If anyone has any, like, good news, please let me know, because I don't see any. I don't personally see any. Here's some good news. Ben Shapiro doesn't really get views anymore compared to what he used to get. How is this actually the title? Oh my God, he's dropped to 18th. This video is uploaded 7 hours ago. It's got 18,000 views. Ben Shapiro, formerly one of the biggest podcasters that we knew. He's getting 18,000 views. Here's the title of the video. How Trump is leading a historic counter-revolution. Huh? Not to be like an old dude, like, huh? According to who? What counter-revolution? It's like unbelievable. How many comments? 199? I mean, frankly, my friends do better than this in podcasting. This is what a fall from grace. He don't care, though. He's making a bag. I mean, it's like same with Barry Weiss. What do they give a shit? They already made the bag. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. You talk about Epstein, you're fucked with. And the thing that bothers me is, like, yeah, I mean, of course I want to talk about the Epstein files, but there's kind of a more imminent issue right now, which is like every child is being starved in our name. And I will talk about the Epstein files in another episode, because I've been doing my own research through, you know, Ryan Dawson and Whitney Webb and some other really great people, which unfortunately they're fighting. I don't like when that happens. I don't like when, like, Daryl Cooper and, like, these cool people that I really look up to, like, I don't know why they fight. Don't fight. You guys are on the right side here. It's unfortunate, but, this is what ends up happening, The Nick and Candace fight, I don't want to see these people fight. I don't want to see them fight. It's sad. It makes me sad. We're all on the same side here, I mean, my God. Maybe I should just go to Austin, Texas and do some stand-up. What do you guys think? Huh? So a little about me, the country that my parents are from is getting bombed, but a little about me. So dating, huh? Comedy, huh? You guys watch any porn? That's just stand-up. It's like every reel, just like 300,000 views for that. Really cutting edge opinions from the stand-up comedians of today. Doing not a goddamn interesting thing. Literally, like, I don't know a single stand-up comedian who's like really making any, I don't know. I guess some people really do laugh from stand-up, but it's like, what a limited medium. I just don't have the fire in me right now. It's like, maybe it's the lack of weed. Maybe it's the lack of good news. I was so excited, I went and voted. Like, how gay am I? I went and voted? Ugh. I mean, I would never do that. And look what I did. I miss, like, the submarine story. I miss the submarine. That was nice. I missed when, like, the thing I was most angry about was, like, the LA fires. That wasn't even that long ago. It feels like a lifetime ago. Also, like, not smoking any weed also just kind of makes you, time just really, it's just different. I'm not a drinker. I don't really drink. I don't like it. So it's like, what is my vice now? Magnesium glycinate at 10 p.m.? It sucks. It sucks. And like, who am I to complain? I have food. I have everything I need. But like, holy shit. Give me a vice. I would like a vice. I don't vape. I don't do nicotine. I think that's terrible. You just get so addicted. Not that nicotine is terrible, but the addictive nature of it is. And I don't want to be addicted to that. So it's like, what can I do other than like matcha, magnesium, and L-theanine? And like NAC detox that like, I mean, these are just like supplements. This shit blows. Anyways, looking forward to Gaza Lago, looking forward to like what our ambassador to France does. Like that guy, it's like Trump's, I believe his brother-in-law. Yeah. Or what is the in-law thing? I get confused. Jared Kushner's father blackmailed his own brother by hiring a hooker for him to sleep with, taping it, getting prosecuted for it, going to prison for it, and now he's the ambassador to France. I guess maybe the signs were there and I missed them. It is on me. I should not have fell for it. I shouldn't have fell for the Trump thing. People say the right thing a lot throughout elections and they do nothing. It's up to us to actually like hold them accountable for it. Like AOC goes and talks about what a tragedy Gaza is, and then she votes to do Iron Dome funding. That's on us for continuing to vote for her. Not that I voted for her. I don't live in, the Bronx or New York, but it's like, that is on the people who don't actually hold these people's feet to the fire. You have to pay attention to what they do. Otherwise, you'll end up like with egg on your face, like me, for voting for Trump because I thought, hey, maybe I didn't keep up with every little thing he did. And maybe he did like a corporate tax cut, in his first term. But hey, at least no new wars were started. And look where we're at right now. We are this close into being dragged into a war with Iran right now. Yeah, like, I have family members in Iran that could be like drafted into that war. You know, but at least Israel, like all the way across the world, like at least they'll be good because of it. Not. It's like the most unsafe place for any Jew to live, and that's they want you to they want to make you think the opposite. It's like you go to any like political conversation about like people fighting against like Israel and Palestine. It's just like two guys comparing rape stats. Like, no, there were rapes on October 7th. There were rapes. It's like, but Hamas did the rapes. It's like, no, the IDF did the rapes. It's like, well, who did more rapes? I'll show you the rapes. It's exhausting. I'd rather, never mind. And then they're like, oh, but Brian Koberger. Who? Huh? Who gives a shit? Who cares? Everyone's a swamp creature at the end of the day. But you know what? I love Thomas Massey. At least we have Thomas Massey, even though Trump is threatening to primary him because he does the right thing and has principles and integrity. Such a rare thing these days, and you get so punished for it. There is no incentive structure to tell the truth. That is the unfortunate thing, and that's really kind of in any category. There's a little bit of it in media, or in social media, but it gets killed by the algorithm and the people who gatekeep that. It's like, I want to upload on Patreon, but I don't know what's going to happen with Patreon. Maybe I should just get my own website and do that so you guys can have extra episodes, because I don't know that Patreon is really the right move anymore. Maybe I do live chats. I can't go on Twitch because you can't say anything even approaching controversial on Twitch. What am I going to do on Twitch? Like play The Legend of Zelda and hope that you guys like that? Although that would be kind of fun. I would do that. Totally would do that. Or play Half-Life 2. Can I do that? Can I do that on Twitch? That would be a nice pastime. I would like to do that. I think I am going to create a website. Let me know what you guys think. Is that too much? Should I just do Patreon? Is it too much to do my own site? But then it's like you build something up on Patreon. How do you transfer that over? If you do, my Patreon's dropped to pretty much nothing at this point because I haven't uploaded in so long. But if I wanted to upload bonus content, which I absolutely do, I don't know if you guys would be chill with doing it through just a website for me, because I think that's the route to go. I don't see the media economy, at least the gatekeeping, being more favorable to us. Also, Patreon takes a cut of everything, and they just change their rules with like the App Store. They want to take an extra 3%. God knows who's running that. Pretty sure Whitney Webb was kicked off of Patreon, so there must be things you can't say. They're not cool with everything, and some of your favorite comedians aren't saying the things you want them to say because they feel as though they're not allowed to, or they're going to lose their money. I don't want to have that fear. I don't want to constantly be afraid that I'm going to piss off whichever daddy is heading the organization, and there's no HQ that I can call like, hey, Mr. Patreon, do you think I can talk about Israel today? Is that chill with you? Is that cool? It's like, I'd rather just have my own website. You kind of have to look at Candace Owens in a way and be like, yeah, I tip my hat to her. Somehow she's able to go on YouTube and say whatever she wants. She can go on YouTube and say Emmanuel Macron's wife has a cock, and it's totally fine. I mean, she's getting sued, but YouTube's cool with it. So I'm like, all right, maybe it's getting better. I hope it is getting better. But at the very least, for bonus content, I want to be able to have a place that isn't gatekept by anyone. Just on principle, I don't want that. I know maybe it makes it a little harder for you guys, but I just feel like that's the way. I know it's probably easier to just go on your Patreon app on your phone, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. LMK. I hate to say it, but like X is kind of the only place we can go to for any like truth these days. Unfortunately. I wish it weren't that way. I wish things were a bit better, but I don't know. Like it makes you miss the Me Too movement when like the most controversial thing to talk about was like feminism. Now it's like, oh, we're starving children and risking our spot as the world's greatest empire because we're committing unbelievable acts of war and we're funding it. They could not do what they're doing without our money and without our consent. That is the truth. But they do. They get away with it, you know? Smotrich and Gavir and all these people. You know, they're absolute monsters, but at least they say what their intention is. It's all the other bureaucrats that act like they're so evolved and intellectual and educated that allow those crazy people to do what they do. It's the Barry Weisses of the world that facilitate conversations that are complete propaganda, and they intellectualize the genocidal thoughts of these monsters and make like the liberal women in the Upper West Side feel like it's okay. They're like, hey, can we get your consent, you know, for the IDF to shell these kids? Because they don't want us to exist. And, you know, like I was watching this, actually. I was watching this conversation and this girl's facial expressions just really drove me out of my fucking mind. Like the way she thought she was like curing cancer. How many views, by the way, on this podcast? 23,000? 23,000. Yeah, this is like valued at $250,000. They're going to have a real serious conversation about the hunger in Gaza, which is, by the way, like the first time this publication's even addressed that this is happening.
But today I'm here to talk about a very, very important topic, which is the aid situation in Gaza. Whether
I watched this whole thing. They said Hamas like 5,000 times, and at the very end, they kind of mentioned Netanyahu a little bit finally.
Especially, you know,
she acts like it's so tough. It's so tough to figure out, you know, what's really going on and why the food can't get in. And I think because Hamas isn't working with the UN, they're stealing all the food. You know, we don't have to provide you any sort of incentive for why they might do that, but we're just going to say that because they're paying us $250 million and we understand the assignment.
Media headlines falsely reporting mass starvation. And in the past few days, it really does seem like there is a serious and growing crisis.
Oh, yeah?
So a lot of questions have
oh, my God, really?
emerged, particularly from the Free Press listeners. And so we have here Haviv Rotiker, who is, you know, our go-to voice on topics such as these. Haviv is the host of Ask Haviv Anything.
This is a former IDF guy, by the way. He's the go-to voice. He's their go-to voice. But all right.
He's also our Middle East analyst here at the Free Press.
Oh,
and he
how
just published
nice.
A really enlightening and thoughtful piece on this issue.
The way she like kind of closes her eyes, like she's saying something so serious, like she's saying something so cutting edge. She's so brave for going out and saying this. Like, look at her eyes right there. The facial expressions of this woman, they make me ill. I genuinely think these people are worse than Smotrich and Ben-Gvir because they're dishonest actors. Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, they have legitimate genocidal thoughts and they are have an absolutely twisted ideology. But at least they stand on business when it comes to telling you what they want and what their intentions are. And then it becomes the responsibility of people like this to call those people out. Instead, they say nothing and act as though they're having some serious conversation when really they're just waiting for the hour to end so that they can draw in their $250 million that they're not even really getting. Barry Weiss is getting most of that.
Fallon, thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
Look, she's like, oh my God, it's so hard.
Dive in for people who are tuning in. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Our producers will send them over to me and I'll try to get to as many as possible. So let's dive in. Basically, for the past 4 months, as I mentioned, we saw all of these pretty baseless headlines. Back in June 2024, there was one that was, quote, children are dying of starvation in their parents' arms as famine spreads throughout Gaza.
In what way is
The
that
beginning of this year,
baseless?
one read that the UN says 14,000 babies could die in Gaza in the next 48 hours under Israeli aid blockade. And these headlines sort of just became so common. And what became clear early in is that many
Yeah.
felt exaggerated or sensationalized.
The UN's just
But now
sensationalizing?
there are similar headlines.
I mean, where do
For
you get
example,
off?
Quote, immediate threat of starvation in Gaza. And there does seem to be a real crisis. And so the question I want to put to you is, what is the level of that crisis? And what is the state of hunger in Gaza as it stands today?
It's extremely difficult to get good data.
Oh, is it? Is it extremely difficult to get good data? How about you open your phone? And also, yeah, but to that point, maybe it's because no journalists are allowed in Gaza. None. They're also blockaded. And the ones that are there already are being starved. The doctors are being starved and killed. A nurse just died the other day.
And the reason it's hard to get good data is that in as much as there is civil infrastructure in Gaza, it is to some degree or another, depending on the place.
Look at the way
controlled
she's making
by
that face.
Hamas. The need to maintain an information war has dominated Hamas's own communication.
Yeah.
And people who step out of line, we've seen hundreds of people hunted down, killed, disappeared in the streets by Hamas. And there's just videos of that online. In other words, if people go looking, they'll find videos that are purposefully by the perpetrators themselves put on the internet as
I
a
just,
warning.
I urge you to watch this video because clearly they need viewers. I don't know who this is for, by the way. Like, I don't know who they're making this for. The whole hour of his conversation is just lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. But they get rewarded for this. The people who produce this. Barry Weiss gets rewarded for this. She writes like a monologue at the beginning of all her podcasts. She like plans it out. She puts that little like serial podcast like music behind it. And like very few people watch it. And many of the people who do are just commenting that she's a shill. You go to any of these people's Twitters and it's like, how much is your reputation worth to you? Not that she's never not been on this side. She's always been on this side. But, she used like the anti-woke thing as a way to get everybody on the train with her and like respect her just so she could actually just turn around and turn into a neocon before your eyes. And the hiccups. It's just kind of like everyone's dishonest, and the people who aren't saying anything about it that have any sort of influence, and the ones who don't have much influence. But I have more respect for people who just have everyday jobs and they don't want to be dragged into politics. I understand that. But if you even have slightly a little bit of influence or a little bit of a heart, like, you should say something. You should say something. You don't need to talk about porn all episode for your podcast. You don't need to talk about like what gets you off. That's not that interesting. It really isn't. And if you find that interesting, then you really should broaden your horizons a little bit. Like, there's more out there. Once you jerk off, it should just be over. You don't need to then talk about jerking off for like 4 hours straight and like make bonus content about jerking off. It's like you got like a wife and kids and you got like, or you don't and you want to get one. This stuff stays in the internet. Like, it's at the very least, it's like it's out there. Someone could record you saying it. All we can do is colonize Mars. Yeah, I think it's just like, I don't really know what happens after this. I just want them to let some food in to Gaza. I want them to stop terrorizing the poor people, the poor Palestinians in the West Bank. And they need to stop separating them, like calling them like Gazans. It's like, they're Palestinians. What do you call the people in the West Bank? West Bankers? Goyams? I don't know. What do you call them? They're human beings. They're children, they're wives, their husbands, their brothers, their sisters, and they can't eat anything. And it's not for lack of food. It's for the unwillingness of this government to let them in. They're just shooting you down indiscriminately. And the weird thing is that, like, most of the Israelis look very much like the Palestinians. It's like, how can you even really tell who's who? At least Barry Weiss is making $250 million. At least disaster funding is conditional upon support for Israel. And then they pretended like they reversed that, whatever. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah, the whole Congress is taking a recess so that they don't have to vote on releasing the Epstein files. They're committing treason before your very eyes, and you are expected to not care. You're expected to not care, to move on, to forget. You know, I had other stuff on this docket, but none of it really seems interesting to me because, you know, there's something that Goethe said, you know, one of my favorite philosophers, German philosopher, and he said, you know, you can have, it was something to the effect of, if you spend too much time thinking about, you know, existentialism or consciousness or like what it all really means, you'll get caught up in the dread of it. So all you can really do is like cultivate your own garden and just focus on the little tiny things that bring you joy. Well, it's simple, but it's sounds good to me, you know? It doesn't seem as though we're going to be freed from the shackles of AIPAC, but I think, you know, maybe once and for all we will be. And, you know, I don't know. I really just want some aid to be let in for these poor children and for these poor families. And then we need to like cut off the umbilical cord with us in Israel. Like we need to get rid of this deeply unhealthy relationship because it is not serving anybody. It is not serving anybody. You know, this man is trying to avoid a prison sentence, so he's decimating an entire population and ruining every bit of infrastructure they have. But hey, at least there's going to be Gaza Lago, huh? Some nice waterfront property. Yeah, you watch like some walking tours of like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and they like act like it's like some amazing industrial, progressive economy with this incredible infrastructure, and it's so modern. And you kind of look at it and you're like, this kind of looks like shit. You go to Dubai, you're like, damn, now that's a city. Like that's a city they just built, you know? But you do like a Jerusalem walking tour and it's like, I love walking tours on YouTube. It's like, I can't really afford to travel. So this is like what I do instead. I travel on YouTube. It's like, this is their capital, or I guess they've changed it to Jerusalem, which is really, you know, they've annexed that too. So they act like it's so incredible. It's like, this place looks like not so modern. Yeah, that's the most modern place ever, you know? I get it. It's the holy city. You know, you're supposed to go here and kiss the wall or whatever, but it's just not really a vibe to me. Let's look at Tel Aviv. Just like get a little comparison, you know? All right. You know, it just looks like an average American city. except whoa, way more run down. Well, look at this. Yeah, I take that back. It does not look like an average American city. They really act like this is some rich, incredible economy. It's like, wow, we have all this amazing infrastructure and, you know. It's run down. It needs like a facelift, this city. Badly. Badly. No, I don't want to be there. I'm good, actually. Like, that's not. Of course, they planted some fake palm trees there. They took a page out of LA's book, and let's like look at Dubai. Just for shits and giggles, why not? It's just a little bit different, right? It's just a little bit different. Yeah, it's just a little bit different. I mean, I don't really love the hijab, we can do without that, but it's just a little bit different. It's just a little bit different. Yeah. And they made this all very recently. This is a brand new city, and look what they've done. I mean, they've really put their nose to the grindstone here. Yeah, looks a little different than Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, the country that we're doing absolutely everything for. This is what the Arabs are building. It's just a little different, you know what I'm saying? That's all. Like, it's just like kind of better. Where would you rather be? A bomb shelter in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem, or would you rather be here? I'd rather be in Dubai. That's just me. I can only speak for myself, but just a little glimpse into, into the difference here. And they even have little bazaars too, just like Israel. It is the Middle East. And that's nice. We like that. So anyways, all right, guys. Well, I'll be back and hopefully I'll have a little more moxie, a little more gusto with the next one. I won't be as dejected or demoralized, and hopefully the children will have been fed by then to some degree. Just please let some food in there. And, I don't know, not for nothing. It wouldn't hurt you to say something to your friends, to your family. We got to change this energy around this allyship, like there's got to be some waves of change here. It's not going to happen through Trump. It's not going to happen through our AIPAC-controlled Congress. It's not going to happen through apparently most of our celebrities. So the people must rise up in another way, Unless a hurricane hits you and then you got no FEMA funding. But hey, it is what it is. God bless. Good night and good luck. Oh, and if you want to hear more about like the personal life stuff, you're going to have to come to the Patreon and then eventually to the website. That's just what that is. So love you, mean it. Patreon.com/the Ida Hour until my incoming website comes to fruition. Instagram.com/Ida Tavs and x.com/Ida Tavakoli. Yeah. Guess I should plug myself. It is my own show. All right. Good night and good luck.